किस लिए आए हो? बच्चों के लिए आए हो? बच्चों के लिए चुप होकर चलो ना, एक बार साइलेंट ट्रीटमेंट दो।
भाई रूट हटाओ, ये बीजेपी पार्टी हटाओ, तभी तो हमारे साथ कुछ अच्छा होगा।
पेपर लीक घटना से अब तक पिछले 2.5 महीनों में अनेक विध कदम उठाए गए।
After weeks of nationwide protests, India's education minister has resigned.
You know, there's something wrong with Gen Z. Our grandparents, our parents, everyone's generation understood corruption in India. These people understood that India cannot exist without this corruption. But then came Gen Z, and this generation simply couldn't understand. They couldn't understand why India could not be better. They couldn't understand why 90 plus students gave up their lives in the last 5 years simply because of one paper that kept on leaking. Not only did these students not understand, they also started asking questions. Questions that no one in the government was ready to answer. Questions that my generation and my parents' generation did not ask. And their questions reached far and beyond India.
This is about as close as we'll get to Narendra Modi on his trip to Melbourne. He famously avoids unscripted news conferences, preferring instead more staged managed appearances.
They started asking, why can't the Indian Prime Minister answer questions? Why can't the Indian Prime Minister do unscripted interviews? And then other countries' reporters also started asking the same questions as Gen Z. But then came the biggest of all questions. In the last 10-11 years, the NEET exam has been allegedly leaked 5 times. And these are the confirmed cases of the leak. Imagine the cases where they couldn't even detect it. Sometimes, even after the leak, no retesting happened. Sometimes local retesting happened in certain regions, and sometimes the whole country had to retake the test.
मेरा तो बेटा ले गए, वो मेरा बेटा है, वहाँ पे फोटो लगी है, वो मैं उसका पापा हूँ। मैंने न्यूज़पेपर अपने घर में छुपा के रख दिया था, मेरा बच्चा पूरा वैकेशन एंजॉय कर रहा था। उसकी कोचिंग वालों ने उसको मैसेज किया कि वापस आ जाओ।
You see, this kept on happening, and our ministers were not ready to take accountability. Oh, sorry, not ready to. It's about not being asked to take accountability, because none of our generations ever asked this question. Because if you ask this question too many times, you could be labeled anti-national. Oh, let's not forget the Trump card. If that still wasn't good enough, they would make it look as if you hate another religion, and that's why you're asking these questions. The divide and conquer strategy, dividing groups based on religion, putting them against each other, that has worked extremely well for most governments in India in the last couple of years at least. But they never prepared for this. Students could not be labeled anti-national. Students could not be shed off as terrorists or Pakistani agents. This right here was unexpected, because usually when you question the government hard enough, the narrative shifts from protester to anti-national very quickly. And this happens till late today. Sonam Wangchuk, the same activist who fasted 20 plus days at Jantar Mantar, was kidnapped in front of the whole crowd. His wife Gitanjali Angmo later on told Deccan Herald that there are plans to label him as anti-national. Finally, after the havoc that has happened after 20th of July, police beating kids, like the students who have given up their lives for this NEET exam is not good enough and they need more bloodshed, a lot of bigger names joining the protest. After all of that, finally, Modi ji listened. He put out a reel as to how he's going to take strict action against the people who were responsible for this paper leak issue, of course. And of course, praising how the government conducted the retest. He also put out a tweet asking Sonam Wangchuk ji to stop his protest, to start eating, stop his hunger strike. Sonam Wangchuk ji listened. He's now eating finally, and we are glad for that. But at the moment, if you really look at this tweet closely, we don't really know if Modi ji even knows who Sonam Wangchuk ji is, because he calls him her as a part of his tweet. But the students want more than that as of now. They're asking why the paper leak even happens to begin with. And the thing is, they already know the answer. It is corruption. But the way the students have been treated as a part of this protest, where they failed to get permission from the police and started a march as a part of their protest, and that resulted in heads being busted of kids opened by the Delhi police, that was unexpected. No one saw that coming. Hundreds of students were injured in this protest. And as I make this video today, students are still at Jantar Mantar, still protesting for one thing, and that is Dharmendra Pradhan, the education minister's resignation. But the thing is, Dharmendra Pradhan cannot resign. And you know why? Because then there's many other ministers next in line for accountability. We have our scientist Nitin Gadkari promising to make fuel cheap, if you remember. And then when asked about it, this is his response.
60% इथेनॉल
40% बिजली उसका अगर एवरेज पकड़ा जाएगा तो 15 रुपए लीटर पेट्रोल का भाव होगा, जनता का भला होगा।
आपके हालांकि वो पुराने वीडियो हैं जिसमें आपने बोला था कि पेट्रोल 100 रुपए से ऊपर जो मिलता है ये 15 रुपए पर आ जाएगा एथेनॉल की वजह से, अगर एथेनॉल आने लग गया। ऐसा मैंने कहा नहीं।
And to add to the fire, when he's asked about it, when the whole of India wants to question him about why he claimed that and why the petrol rates are not lowering down, even though there is now ethanol mixed petrol, E20 that they call it, that's being forced down our throats, even though we don't want it, he resorts to using scare tactics. Imagine this, look at this one. A minister telling the reporter that he's going to file a defamation case against them just because they read something off of Google, again, that they didn't like.
अगर कोई बात झूठ बोलने से डिफेमेशन केस होती है। हाँ, आपने जो पढ़ा इसके ऊपर मैं आपके ऊपर डिफेमेशन केस भी कर सकते हैं। आप झूठ बोल रही है।
And these are not empty threats. They've already filed a defamation case on this one influencer for 50 crore rupees just because he made a reel that Nitin Gadkari did not supposedly like. So why did all of this even happen? Because a father knows no bounds when it comes to benefiting his children. Congress leader Pawan Khera, and this is not me, allegedly mentioned that there's a conflict of interest. He points out that Gadkari's sons run ethanol-linked companies. Two companies, both of which saw a sharp increase in revenue, especially when this thing was launched, the E20 Petrol. CN Agro Industries, for instance, reported a net profit of 222 crores for the financial year ending in March 2026. This marked a 441% annual profit jump. I don't know about most of you guys, but this does seem to be a little bit shady, as the Congress leader has pointed out. Now, I'm not pro-BJP or pro-Congress, but I have to tell you, there's definitely something going on. But the story would not end with Nitin Gadkari alone. Then there's the Finance Minister, Nirmala Sitharaman, there's Amit Shah, and then there's finally PM Modi ji himself. If these positions of Education Minister, Finance Minister could just be snatched away from these people just by protesters, understand this, the whole government could fall apart. And I don't know how credible this is, but until now, people used to say that Modi government controls the media, and it may be correct, it may not be correct, but there are people, students right now, Gen Z students, who claim that they were offered up to 40,000 rupees just to make reels labeling other Gen Z students who are protesting as anti-nationals, and that all the content would be provided to them.
तो कल रात के 3 बजे के करीब मुझे एक मेल आता है। उस मेल पर साफ साफ शब्दों में एक मीडिया एजेंसी मुझसे कह रही है कि हम एक पेड कैंपेन चला रहे हैं, पॉलिटिकल पेड कैंपेन चला रहे हैं, जिसके लिए हम आपको पे करेंगे 40,000 रुपीज फॉर 2 रील्स। और उसमें आपको एज अ स्टूडेंट बन के बात करनी है, देश के मुद्दों पर बात करनी है, जो देश में स्टूडेंट प्रोटेस्ट चल रहा है उसको बहुत ही नेगेटिव वे में सारी चीजें बतानी है आपको।
You see, the story is a bit more deep-rooted. Out of all the countries in Asia, India is the number 1 when it comes to corruption. The highest bribery rate has been found in our country. 39% who used a public service paid for it to be done in the form of bribes. And this is the people who actually came forward. 46% used personal connections instead. And 89% said that the government corruption is one of the biggest problems in the country. Imagine this, if you have been to any other country outside of India and if you've gone to a government office, I think you would have realized that there's a massive difference between the government offices in India and overseas. And now, whether it is the condition of these offices or the greed of the Indian employee, there's some reason that the corruption issue cannot be halted. And this isn't random, it's made to be like this. Slow paperwork and deliberately understaffed offices create a built-in form of a convenience fee, which is called bribery. You'd be surprised to know this, or maybe not actually, but 6 in 10 people never actually took any form of a driving test, yet they have a license. That's unlicensed drivers on the road, and that's why our roads look like this. The NEET papers, by the way, they are leaked between 30 to 50 lakhs per candidate that gets them. And these are the students who will become doctors, who will treat families of yours and mine, even though they are unqualified. Why? Simply because these students had one unfair advantage over other students: rich parents. You see, the Gen Z has pledged that they will either change the system or they will leave India altogether.
And guess what? Today, the Education Minister, Dharmendra Pradhan, finally resigned. So this could be the start of something big.
A change in the system, not only the Gen Z, my generation, my parents' generation, and even my grandparents' generation, everyone wants to see it. Will it happen? Well, I guess we'll see, and I hope it does. But if you're fed up, I want you to know that there are dozens of countries, English-speaking countries, which want you for what you have up here. And these countries are inviting you to study abroad with up to full funding in many cases. These countries are inviting you to directly come into work if you have talent on your resume. And these countries in certain cases are even giving you direct PR in less than 3 years. Now, I don't know which pathway will be good for you, but all I know is I have a list of such pathways. If you have a resume or LinkedIn and you've done some sort of a degree, you actually may be eligible already for some of these pathways, whether it's study abroad or working abroad directly. I'll give you the list. All you have to do is to go on to YMGrad.com, shoot me a message and send me your resume, and I'll send you the list of the pathways. I also have included direct links to get in touch with me in the description. For more updates on the situation and more such research, and if you appreciate what we're doing over here, follow me on Instagram and subscribe to the channel and share this video with the one person that you think needs to listen to this the most. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Jai Hind.